Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Drives one out to deep left field. This one's got a chance to get out of here. Gone! Three-run Jimmy Jack first big league home run for Mike Trout.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
And an 81-point game, 55 in the second half. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you again for downloading and or streaming the newest episode of Infinity Sports. I'm Wayne G, joined as always by my co-host, Jesse.
Hello, hello, family and friends.
And Sully. What's going on?
Hey, how we doing out there, everybody?
Now, I'm guessing you guys are either listening to us live on the RTF Sports Network. That is rtfsportsnetwork.com. We will be on there, I believe, Mondays at 11 and then Thursdays at 1. Or is it the other way around?
It is the other way around.
It doesn't matter. I think the website's down anyway, so you guys won't be able to hear us on there, I don't think, this week. And going forward, actually, we are going to be doing live shows on Facebook Mondays and Wednesday nights at 7 till 8 p.m. And those shows are going to air on the RTF Sports Network drive time Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 to 6 p.m. So a pretty cool drive time show.
We coming to you live, baby, live.
Yeah, you boys better powder your noses and get ready. I mean, I don't know. You guys got radio faces, so I don't know how the live show is going to do.
Oh, hurtful words.
I'm just joking, fellas. You guys are beautiful, man. You guys are beautiful.
So obviously you don't catch the show in its entirety. We're going to try to keep it under an hour. That's the goal, so you'll hear the whole thing. But if you do miss any part of the show, you tune in late or you miss the end of it, you can find the entire show commercial-free on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. So feel free to download, subscribe, definitely give us a rating. Let us know what you think. Give us some ideas. We're always open. We're the most interactive show I know of.
Absolutely. We're not out there spamming you with junk. We're out there giving you thoughtful discussion and great facts and point of views.
Speaking of interaction, we are on social media, so feel free to visit us, hit us up, message us. Facebook, we are at Infinity Sports Podcast. Instagram, at Infinity Sports Podcast. And a little bit of a curveball, where are we on Twitter, Jesse?
We are at Sports Infinity 5. That is a play on our best segment of the show, our last segment of the show.
We are giving away a little bit of free money on Facebook. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I did post it. If you share our show, which we're going to post our show every Saturday when it drops, or starting upcoming every Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is. If you share the show and you hashtag Infinity Sports, you will be entered for $5. We will give it away every single week. If you're the only person doing it, you're going to get an extra, $260 for doing nothing other than sharing the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love free money? And I'm not going to lie, folks. I mean, let's be real here. We're pretty realistic guys. We're not getting a ton of likes and shares here right now, guys, so that's why we're doing this. Get these shares in. You'll probably be the only one. There's a great chance you're going to win a lot of this money. So, I mean, just start sharing, folks. We'd really appreciate it.
We have a big show today. We always have a big show, but today we have a big show. Basically, we've got a new game we're trying out. Last week, you guys tuned in. You listened to us do Guess Who. It definitely seemed a little convoluted. There was some conversation afterwards about the difficulty level of the questions, and there were long pauses and all that. So we're going to avoid that this week with Fact or Fiction. It should move along a little bit quicker and should be a little bit easier. We're going to break down the NFC East, and we're going to do an Infinity 5, which is basically our favorite sports moments in history. But before we get to that, the news. Starting off the news, we always do This Week in History. I say always, we just started a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to say always because I'd like to keep doing it. This week I start off on July 18th, 1999. I posted this on Facebook, so you may have seen it. Jean Van de Velde blows a 3-shot lead on the 18th hole at the British Open. Now, I remember watching this live and thinking, what the hell is he doing? He was hitting driver on 18 instead of an iron. He was trying to hit out of the cabbage once he hit it into the rough instead of just playing it safe. The guy had a 3-shot lead. He literally lost a 3-shot lead in one hole.
It's tough to be at the top, and he proved it.
I wasn't watching it live, but I have seen it, obviously, in replays many, many a times. And, I mean, if we ever do an Infinity 5 top chokes, I don't think there's a chance all three of us don't have that on our list. I mean, that is such a big choke. It's so huge, and everybody knows it. It's just crazy.
Is a classic choke. Now, also on July 18th, Sully would probably appreciate this because it's one of his favorite players of all time. Ty Cobb gets his 4,000th hit in 1927.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I mean, he's a great baseball talent, just a terrible, terrible, terrible racist piece of shit human being. So, but it was 1810. So, I mean, what are you gonna do?
The year threw him off. Wayne was looking for 1810 on his sheet.
I mean, it wasn't 1810, I know, but I mean, I just said an old date because, he's old.
July 19th, 1973, Willie Mays ties Stan Musial. He makes his 24th All-Star game.
They both absolutely deserved all those games, too. It's not like where I find that Pudge Rodriguez got into games where he shouldn't have. There were sometimes you saw Jeter playing in games he shouldn't have gotten into. But these two are absolute legends of the game. And I know that Sully and I take part in a lot of these drafts that we do in a group on Facebook called FBAS. And these guys are absolutely always drafted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in those drafts, through that, Stan Musial is actually one of my all-time favorites. I'm a big, big, big fan of his game, and actually, top 5 hitters list and things like that. I'd probably have him up there. I'm a big fan of what he did at the plate. So that's a huge accomplishment when you pass a Stan Musial.
Well, what blows my mind is that some guys don't even play 24 seasons, and these guys were in 24 All-Star games.
Yeah, it's insane.
Speaking of insane, on July 19th, 1910, Cy Young gets his 500th career win. I think he finished with like 519 or 536 or something like that, but will anybody ever...
I think it's 526.
526, yeah. Will anyone ever get 500 wins again?
No, not even close. That record will never, ever, 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 ever get touched. Not even close to get touched.
I agree.
I mean, you talk about like Wilt's records and like his separation and things like that. There's no way somebody touches that record. That's insane.
Well, I had this argument with Brandon because he said, is it the most unbreakable record in sports? And I said, no. How about Cy Young's 700 complete games?
Yeah, I mean, the complete games is the more ridiculous one, and that's why like those kind of records will never be broken. There's just no way. I mean, the way arms are managed nowadays, they just don't get enough opportunities.
On July 20th, 1976, Hank Aaron hits number 755. Now, I know some guys still think he is the all-time leader, but he's not. I always tell people, they're like, oh no, he's the real leader. I'm like, no, Barry Bonds is the real leader, but whatever.
Hank Aaron's a legend in his own right as far as a home run hitter and a baseball player, and if I recall correctly, isn't this where some of the fans actually joined him in rounding the bases as he hit this one?
No, that was 715.
Okay, touche.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Hank Aaron's the home run leader, you're delusional. Those are the same kind of people that say, Donald Trump's not my president. You know what I mean? It's like, well, he is, regardless of if you don't like him or not. He's still your fucking president. Like, Barry Bonds, regardless if you don't like the guy or not, still hit more home runs. You know what I mean? So deal with it.
Now, this one I thought was interesting. So I go to this site that tells me this day in sports. And so on July 20th, 1991, Mike Tyson is accused of rape. And, we all know that story, obviously, and it really, sidetracked one of the great careers of all time. And I'm not going to say who I believe or anything like that. But what I thought was interesting is that very same site had July 19th, 1991. It said Mike Tyson rapes a contestant. I was like, wow, not even accused. It was just like on July 19th, he raped somebody. Oh. July 20th, accused of rape.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. I mean, that's got to be some kind of typo or some kind of miss. Man,
yeah, it's a sketchy timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, technically he was accused, right? And he was convicted. So, I mean, in a way, I guess you could say it's not, once he's convicted, it's no
guess, yeah, once it's convicted, then they are right. That's just kind of, I mean, damn, I didn't think of that. That's just pretty savage. Ugh.
This is the date the rape happened.
Ugh. Yeah, like, that's honestly like, ugh. Like, man, I didn't even think of it. You're right. He was convicted. So they're just posting the truth, but like, ugh, that's dark.
Now, on a lighter note, July 20th, 1965.
You guys are so with us.
Yeah, exactly. Those of you who haven't abandoned ship after the rape talk.
July 20th, 1965, Yankees pitcher Mel Stoudemire hits an inside-the-park grand slam.
A pitcher? This is Bartolo Colon?
Well, it's an inside-the-park, but that's still, I mean, it's inside-the-park grand slam. That's nuts.
I mean, do we have any, like, other stats or footage? Were there, like, multiple throwing errors or something like this? Or did he hit a gapper that he legged out for a fucking inside-the-park home run?
Any sort of error would negate the achievement, so there can't be any errors.
Oh, okay, man. So he gapped it and fucking inside the Parkered it. Wow. Good for him.
Way to go, Mel.
And then lastly, July 21st, that's my dad's birthday, 1959, 1 year before he was born. Pumpsie Green becomes the first African-American player for the Boston Red Sox. This is 12 years after Jackie Robinson makes his debut, and the Red Sox finally say, all right, we'll do it.
What year was this?
59.
That's fucking sickening. That's 50 years ago. That's it. That's gross, man. That's crazy to think about. Thank God. Thank God we don't live in that time, man.
Do we know if the Red Sox were the last team in the professional baseball league to actually add an African-American player?
They were.
That's awful. It's so ugly. I'm so ashamed to be in this region.
So typical Boston, right?
Absolutely. Yawky way.
And you wonder why I picked him as the worst fans ever.
That's pretty much it for this day in history, but we do have some news that's going on actually right now. And I think the biggest news is probably Mookie Betts signs a 12-year, $365 million extension. The annual value is about $30 million a year, which I think is pretty good. I mean, it's less than David Price's annual value. To me, it's the 12 years. I mean, God, I don't know if I would sign somebody up for that long.
I don't love baseball or NHL deals that get to be that crazy length. As a Red Sox fan, as a guy that got to see this guy have an MVP season, I hope for the best for him. But, if he was still in the Red Sox, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving him that type of length or that type of money. That's just way too much in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. In baseball, no less, where it's like, all these contracts are essentially like fully guaranteed and things like that. It's like, man, it's a lot of money for a long time to pay a guy. Like 12 years is nuts. I don't know. I get the players want the security and that's what they push for and things like that. But if I was an owner, man, I'd be so hard pressed to say, I don't do a deal over 5 years. I don't give a shit. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
Absolutely. The body can change so much in that span that 12 years is just way too risky.
I mean, 12 years ago was 2008. My daughter was being born. That's how long ago 12 years is.
Yeah, I was graduating high school.
You guys know my affinity for Mike Trout. Like, I mean, I love the guy. I wouldn't even give him a 12. And I know the deal he got, but there's no way I give him 12 years. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, exciting news for sports fans, and particularly us three, because I know we're all big football fans. NFL veterans report July 28th, so we are 6 days from veterans reporting to training camp.
TikTok, baby, let's get on the field.
God, I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So excited.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Now, the NFLPA, as part of this, does agree to daily corona testing. Now, I think it takes 24 hours for the test to come back. They're saying they can do it in 15 minutes. I don't know how legit that is, but I guess if a guy tests positive, he's out for that day, he can try again the next day. It's not like you have to wait 2 weeks or 8 days or whatever it is. So you can keep testing every day, but they're doing daily testing. And if you test positive, you're not practicing, you're not playing in the game that day. So can you imagine playing practice all week? Like Cam Newton is, he's going to be the starter week 1, let's say. I don't think so, but let's say he is, and then that day he tests positive, and it's like, damn, well, Stidham's been taking the second team snaps, now he's a starter.
Every team is definitely going to have to prep differently this year, and what's going to make this so much more difficult for the NFL is they aren't doing a bubble. They have a full slate of games where they are planning to travel and have all these teams travel and play their full schedule, so it's absolutely a risky biscuit.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're going to do is honestly going to work. I mean, I think they're going to be able to contend. I think most of these guys understand the risks they're going to go through and understand what they got to do to keep themselves healthy. And they're all grown men and they understand they got to do a job. So I think they'll get it done, and I think we'll be all right.
Now, Antonio Brown retires again. Does anybody care? Can we just stop talking about him?
Just skip it. Can we skip this segment? I hate this guy.
He sucks. Nobody wants him on his team.
That's not true. I see so many people on Facebook that are like, oh, we'd love to get this guy.
You see Buck on Facebook shopping AB around. Yeah. Nobody else.
I mean, don't get me wrong. In his prime, obviously, this guy's talent was just, insane. His ability to separate at the top of a route and, just really his route running in general was just so special. But the guy's a head case and a locker room cancer. And those kind of things just make you unsignable.
You got to give some blame to Vontaze Burfict for just absolutely demolishing his skull and probably starting this snowball effect on his brain.
That's what I was going to say. Is all this kind of stemmed from Vontaze Burfict knocking him out, because prior to that, the guy had no problem with the locker room. He was a good teammate, he was a good receiver. You didn't really hear anything about him, and then he gets knocked out and just brain damage.
CTE is real, my friends. Believe it.
Yeah, I do think there is a little sign of CTE there. And just, I mean, there's a pattern of behavior that we have seen since then that just wasn't really, I mean, he had issues, but none that were this big and this just out of line. So I don't really know, obviously. I mean, I hope he puts his brain up for dissection and autopsy when he dies, which I assume will be soon.
We're back getting dark again, folks.
The truth is dark.
I mean, let's be real. Over under is dead in 12 years.
I mean under, totally under.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Way under.
See? So I'm not that.
Now, the NBA, we had talked about last week, the guy going and getting takeout and leaving the bubble, so then he had to wait 8 days before he's allowed to practice or anything like that. And we talked about these players being absolute idiots, but the NBA announced 0 out of the 346 players tested positive. So the bubble is working, supposedly. I guess so. What I do like is the whole snitching thing. They have a hotline. It's an anonymous hotline you can call in if other players are sneaking out of the bubble or trying to sneak people into the bubble. I'm a big believer that snitches get stitches, but in this case, when you're talking about an NBA season, snitch away, guys.
Yes, Commissioner Silver, I'm pretty sure that I see LeBron James over here, stepping outside your bubble. Can you please get him off the court during the finals?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the snitch line. I don't know. I guess I understand. I don't know how much use it'll get either. I don't think a lot of these guys will want to snitch and things like that. I think they would take it kind of more serious than that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like we do, like telling on somebody isn't something you do. I don't know. Just beat them straight up. And I mean, or go to them personally and be like, hey, look, don't leave. If you're really concerned about your health and things like that, be like, yo, don't leave. All these guys got their numbers. You know what I mean? Text them and be like, yo, don't fucking leave. What are you doing, you psychopath? Are you trying to infect the whole bubble? Don't call daddy and snitch.
Like, what's so important out there that they don't already offer to you? I mean, I guess I read somewhere that NBA even gave these players a list and said if you need quote-unquote services, that they will be available in the bubble. So, I mean, they're providing these guys literally everything.
What is quote-unquote services?
Oh, Robert Kraft could tell you.
I was gonna say we bring in Robert Kraft masseuse into here, or is that what we're doing?
Oh, I think it's gonna be more than a masseuse.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I'm sure they can figure out something. But, I mean, like you said, a lot of these guys are young, and you're not going to tell them what to do, essentially. So, but it's supposedly working. I don't know if I believe there's 0 tests, but, I mean, 0 positives. But, I mean, good for them if it's actually true.
It looks good on paper, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Now, the Madden rankings came out, speaking of things that didn't look good on paper, and Rob Gronkowski gets a 95 overall, which in itself is completely asinine that he didn't play at all last year. But Zach Ertz, who did play last year and was an elite tight end last year, got a 90. So you're telling me Rob Gronkowski right now is better than Zach Ertz?
Gronk was definitely getting high with whoever was doing these rankings.
Yeah, I mean, most of these rankings are a joke, let's be real, but I mean, for Gronk to just be a 95 off the couch is pretty insane. And then, yeah, I mean, Ertz is pretty low. I mean, I know he's got injury history and he keeps getting hurt. And honestly, Dallas Goedert, their number 2 on that team is a fucking stud. And I think he's really on the up and up. But, I mean, it's still a slap in the face.
And we had talked a little bit about LeBron James rookie card. It's a autographed jersey card. There's only 23 in existence. Only 2 of them have a 9.5 grade, and it sold at auction for $1.8 million. Now, I'm not sure what Wayne Gretzky's Honus Wagner goes for anymore, but $1.8 million for a LeBron rookie card is nuts.
That is bananas.
Yeah, that's insane. And then, I had seen a post where LeBron tweets or Instagrams right under it. He goes, somebody's got a couple of those, and makes it sound like he does. And then the rumor is he's got 3 of them. So he apparently has 3 of those cards in his own collection. That's what a hoarder, man. What a dick.
Well, I'd say he should probably get them graded, but let's face it, when he retires, he's going to be worth like $750 million. Like, what's he care about 1.8? That's a tax write-off.
Yeah, exactly. That's nothing to him. But I mean, I think it's cool that he's got him. But I mean, three out of the 23, that's a lot, man.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was him, I would probably try to buy 23, all 23 of them, and keep them from the rest of the world.
You would.
Yeah, but you're a dick.
I'd actually burn 22 of them,
and then just have that's
the
the real ticket. Yeah.
And the last note I have for the news, Tiger Woods returns. He shoots +6. He finishes 40th in the tournament and never really was in contention, so didn't stir up any sort of excitement. But I don't know if it's just me. Whenever Tiger's playing, like, I am fascinated, particularly if he's in the lead or in the top 5. Why doesn't Rory do that for me? Why doesn't Ricky Fowler, these young guys, why doesn't Dustin Johnson do that? Why is it Tiger Woods so captivating? What's so captivating about him?
I think Brooks Koepka's kind of getting there. Rory just chokes a bit too much for me. He hasn't won enough. But I agree with you. When Tiger's certainly in contention those last couple of days, I find my eyes getting on the channel and watching him progress through the course. This guy's just so lovable at this point. You know, I've always loved him, and to be able to see him succeed, I want to see him win everything he enters.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that he is the greatest of all time, arguably the greatest of all time playing right now. So I think that has a lot to do with it. We know what we're watching. You know what I mean? We understand it's great and we understand it can happen. Like, you know, at any moment, the greatness can absolutely show up. So it's fun to watch. You know, for me too now, I mean, DeChambeau's out there fucking crushing the ball. And I mean, that's a ton of fun to watch. I mean, the other day he had, I think it was that tournament, he had one that would just carry, went 375, and then it rolled like a total like 440 or 450 or something. Like, that's just bonkers, dude. The guy's making par fours into eagle shots. You know, it's a lot of fun to watch. A lot of people don't like that style of golf, but I think it's fun. Faldo's on there all the time talking about DeChambeau needs to take some more protein, but I mean, it's fun to watch him crush the ball.
Well, I always chalk it up too. There's certain types of people that have like a magnetic personality, and if you're around them, you can't help but gravitate towards them. I think people said that Chris Farley was like that. He was like the sun. You just had to be near him all the time. And I think that it's a bigger talent if you can have that magnetic personality that comes through the TV screen even, and you just can't help but be magnetized by that person. And I think of actors like Vin Diesel, who's not that great of an actor, but for whatever reason, if he's in a movie, I can't stop fucking watching him in the movie. Like, he's just magnetic. And I think Tiger Woods has that as an athlete. If you tuned in last week, and hopefully you did, you listened to us play Guess Who. We're starting to do a little bit more of a game segment in the second segment of the show, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. This one's going to move a little bit quicker. It's going to be a little bit more palatable, I guess is the word. It might not be the word, but
we'll see how it goes. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it might be palatable at the end of the thing. So it's called Fact or Fiction. We've got the 5 categories like last week, and we're going to have 4 statements in each category. These guys are going to have to determine whether those statements are fact or fiction. So what we'll do is we'll just pick a category, and then we'll do all 4 from that category instead of jumping around, because that's a nightmare. So I don't know who went first. I think, Dan, did you pick first last week?
No, he did.
Okay, so you pick first. Whatever category, we're going to do 4 statements from that category.
Let's go NCAA.
The first, fact or fiction. Dan, this one's for you. Jordan Love's 17 interceptions in 2019 is the most ever by a Division I quarterback.
Fiction.
Jesse?
I'm going to go with fiction because I know Sully knows his stuff, especially about quarterbacks.
The answer is fact. That is the most interceptions a Division I quarterback has ever thrown.
What?
In one season, yes.
Really?
Come on, Sully.
That's insane.
I know. It's an NFL record. I mean, NCAA record. I looked it up and I was like, damn, that's the most ever. So I thought that'd be a good one since you like Jordan Love so much.
Yeah, man, I had no clue. I would figure there was at least a Division I quarterback that sucked at some point and threw like 20, but I guess not.
I guess they don't last very long if they do.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Jesse, this one's for you. First guess, fact or fiction. Zay Jones had 158 receptions in 2016. That's more than Larry Fitzgerald had his entire career at Pitt.
You said 158 receptions?
158 receptions in 1 year for Eastern Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that more than Larry Fitzgerald had his entire career?
Fiction.
Dan?
In fact.
It is fiction. Larry Fitzgerald had 161 catches for his career.
Ooh, I like how close that was.
Yeah, very close. 158 for one season is insane.
Absolutely.
Next one's basketball. Dan, this one's for you, and it's my boy, Glenn Robinson. His career scoring average of 27.5 points per game for his college career is the highest in history.
What?
Glenn Robinson averaged 27.5 points per game for his college career. That is the highest scoring average in NCAA history for a career.
Oh, no, fiction.
Fiction.
It is fiction. He's number 6. That's still pretty insane.
Yeah, I do know that. That Pete Maravich, he averaged over 40, right?
Something like that. He had like 4,000 career points.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
All right, so this one goes to Jesse. First guess, fact or fiction, in the NCAA, looking over the most rebounds per game for a single season. Looking over the top 20, only one player appears twice, Shaquille O'Neal.
Fiction.
Oh, yeah, fiction.
That is a fact.
Wow.
Shaquille O'Neal has the fourth most rebounds in a season,
Wow.
14.68 per game, and the 12th most, 14 rebounds per game, and nobody else is on there twice.
You would think Lou Alcindor would be on there twice.
Jesse, what category we got next?
Let's go with NFL.
NFL. Jesse, first question goes to you, fact or fiction. Looking over the most rushing yards for a single season, top 20 seasons, Barry Sanders is the only player who appears twice.
Fiction.
Fiction.
It is fiction. O.J. Simpson and Eric Dickerson also appear twice.
Word.
Dan, for you, first guess, fact or fiction. Career receptions, career receiving yards, career receiving touchdowns. Jerry Rice is the only person in the top 5 in all 3 of those.
Were receptions, touchdowns, and yards?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go fact.
I'm also going to go fact.
It is a fact. He's actually number 1 in all 3 of those categories. Randy Moss is in the top 5 in yards and touchdowns, so is T.O., and Larry Fitzgerald is in yards and receptions, but nobody's in all 3.
God, Jerry was so good.
Next up, this one goes to Jesse. In 1990, Derek Thomas had 7 sacks in a game against the Seattle Seahawks. That is the same as the Patriots' leader for all of last season.
Fact.
God. It's tough to go against Jesse and his own team, so I guess I'll go fact.
It is a fact. Jamie Collins had 7 sacks last season. That's just pathetic.
It is. Well, Bill doesn't usually focus on pass rush. You know that.
Dan, this one's for you. Fact or fiction, first guess. Charles Woodson has more defensive touchdowns than Bo Jackson had touchdowns in his NFL career.
Fact.
I'm going to go fiction.
It is fiction. He had 13 defensive touchdowns. Bo Jackson had 18 touchdowns.
13's still a lot.
All right, so we are 2 categories down. Dan, you get to choose now, and you're trailing Jesse 2-0.
MLB.
Dan, for the first point, or first guess, fact or fiction, Darryl Strawberry is the Mets' all-time leader in home runs.
Fiction.
I'm also going to go fiction.
It is a fact. He has 252. David Wright is second with 242.
Damn, I was thinking David Wright as well.
Jesse, first guess, fact or fiction, MLB. Of the top 30 players, most strikeouts for a single season as a pitcher, only one player pitched after 1980, Randy Johnson.
Fiction.
So in the top 30, there's nobody besides Randy Johnson who pitched after 1980.
That had the strikeouts, you said.
For most strikeouts in a season.
Oh, okay, the pitch strikeouts. Okay, I'm thinking like led the league and like they actually struck out.
No,
Sorry.
so like the most strikeouts in a season, believe it or not, guys, is like 511, but it came in like 1886. So after 1980, Randy Johnson is the only person in the top 30 for strikeouts in a season.
Wow, that's nuts, and I think you robbed Sully of an opportunity to guess.
No, he's asking the question still, fact or fiction. To you.
Oh, that's a long ass question then. Okay.
Well, because you hadn't answered yet. Because you
my
thought
bad.
it was actual strikeouts, not pitching strikeouts. So he wanted to
Yeah.
clarify and then give you the.
I'm gonna still go with fiction. Yeah, I'm gonna go with fiction.
Yeah, I think it's fiction.
It is a fact. He is 11th, 15th, 20th, and 30th all time for strikeouts in one season, and nobody else that pitched after 1980 is on the top 30.
Damn, I thought Pedro.
So this one goes to Dan. Dan, of the top 10 home run leaders in Major League history, Sammy Sosa has the fewest hits with 2,408.
Fact.
I'm gonna go fiction.
It is fiction. It's Jim Tomei with 2,328.
Word.
All right, Jesse, most stolen bases in one season. Of players in the top 15, Vince Coleman has more than Ricky Henderson. Or he appears
Fiction.
more times in the top 15 than Ricky Henderson.
Fact.
Well, he said 2 answers, so what are we going with?
Fact.
Fact, okay.
Okay. So, can I change my answer next time too? Because I'm going to say fact.
Well, it sounded like he finished his question. I answered, and then he went more into his question.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that he doesn't have more stolen bases than Ricky Henderson necessarily, but does he appear more times in the top 15 for stolen bases for a season than Ricky Henderson?
See, the question changed.
You both said facts. You are both correct. Vince Coleman appears 3 times. He's 9th, 10th, and 13th, whereas Ricky Henderson is twice, 2nd and 12th.
I'd still take Ricky.
So I believe we have Jesse gets to pick the next category, and he has a 3-0 lead.
Go on to the hardwood, NBA.
NBA, Jesse, first choice, fact or fiction. None of the top 5 all-time assist leaders ever averaged 20 points per game.
Fiction.
In a season ever or for a career?
In a season ever.
Fiction.
It is fiction. Magic Johnson did it 4 times, but nobody else in the top 5 ever averaged 20. Stockton, Nash, Kidd, and Mark Jackson never averaged 20 for a single season.
Yeah, that was a close one.
All right, so this one goes to Dan, and how appropriate, since me and Dan are both huge Kobe fans. Kobe Bryant is the all-time Lakers leader in 30-point-per-game seasons.
Fiction.
I'm also going to go fiction. I've got a few guys in mind.
It is fiction. Jerry West has 4, Kobe has 3, and Elgin Baylor has 3. So Jerry West is the all-time.
Those are the other 2 guys.
This one will be a fun one. Jesse, this one's for you. Charles Barkley averaged more points per game, more rebounds per game, and more assists per game than Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki.
Combined?
No, individually.
Fact.
I gotta catch up here, so fiction.
It is fact. Charles Barkley averaged 22 points per game. Duncan was 19, KG was 18, and Dirk was 20.7. He averaged 11.7 rebounds, which is more than any of them, and 3.9 assists is also more than any of them. Now, an interesting note, though, the reason I came about this statistic is because Chris Webber, his career averages are 20.7, 9.8, and 4.2, and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
How many rings does he have?
Dude, he's one of the best power. How many does Barkley have?
It's part of the equation, though.
Okay, how many does Malone have? Both those guys are in the Hall of Fame.
They average more than Weber.
Barely.
The dream team, baby.
All right. All right, so so this one's going to be for Dan. Dan, this is a Jesse question, kind of, but I'm going to give it to you first. Fact or fiction? Richard Rip Hamilton, who averaged 17 points per game for his career, never averaged 20 in a season.
Fiction.
I'm also going to go fiction.
It is fiction. He did it twice, in 2001, 2002, and 2005, 2006. So that kills the NBA. We now have, I believe, NHL and... Was that it? Are we in the last category? NHL?
Yep.
All right. So NHL it is, I guess. And who goes first?
Him.
All right, Jesse. Fact or fiction? Wayne Gretzky has more career assists than any NHL player has total points.
Fact.
Fact.
That is a fact. He has 1,963 assists. Jaromir Jagr has 1,921 career points. Interesting note, Wayne Gretzky also has 894 goals. Sully, you've got the next question. Martin Brodeur has the most career points for a goalie with 47.
Yeah.
All right, so he's saying fact. Jesse.
I'm going to go with fiction.
It is fiction. He is number 2 behind Tom Barrasso, who has 48.
I knew it. Me and Tom go way back.
All right, so this one is for Jesse. Jesse, Alexander Ovechkin has more career overtime goals than anybody in history.
I'm going to go fact because I got some wiggle room.
Yeah.
It is a fact. Jaromir Jagr is number 2 with 19. And the last question, this one is for you, Dan. Bobby Orr had 5 career seasons.
Fact. Let's speed this up for you. I'm just joking. Go on.
So Bobby Orr had 5 seasons of the top 10 goal-scoring seasons for defenders, but he is not top 10 all-time in career points.
Fact.
Fiction.
He is number 11. Oh, it's 5-1. Jesse wins that game of fact or fiction. I think this one was more fun. It went a little bit quicker, I think.
We're off the fucking schneid.
Definitely quick there in the middle for sure when Wayne was drunk.
Like we have been doing, it is time to break down an NFL division, and this week we chose the NFC East. So, talking to you guys, you know, we've got the NFC East, we've got the Cowboys. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking wasted. I can't read my notes.
I better stay on the show.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We need to do we need to do a show where we all just get fucking hammered
All right.
and just do a show.
So the NFC East, we've got the Cowboys, the Giants, the Washington football team, and the Eagles. I started off, I think, last week. Who do you guys got? Let's start with Dan. Dan, how do you have the Dallas Cowboys finishing this coming season?
I have them finishing 10-6, and I have them, not to spoil my second place, finishing tied with my second place team. So I don't know how the division would work out. I'd have to look into the actual NFC games they broke down, because I believe they lost the same amount of games to each other in my thing. They split the series. So, it'd go down to like losses in the NFC or losses in the conference or something like that. So I'd have to like actually look. But I have Dallas and Philadelphia both finishing 10-6. I just really think they're both kind of really good ball clubs. I think Dak's actually a really good player. I know he gets a lot of grief. I don't think he's worth, $35 million, but I think he's a solid quarterback who can do what needs to be done. I don't really think of them as a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're a solid team who will probably make the playoffs.
I got Dem Boys actually finishing 11-5. They're going to lead the division for me. I see them winning a lot of games in that division, and they're going to lose a couple games out of the division. The Seahawks, the 49ers, the Ravens. But they're going to lose at least a couple inside the division. But I've got them leading them pretty comfortably at 11-5.
I have the Dallas Cowboys at 13-3. I have them losing to the Ravens. I have them losing to the Eagles, just splitting with the Eagles. I have them losing to the 49ers, but I have them sweeping the rest of the division. I think Dak Prescott coming back, man on a mission. That offense is absolutely loaded. The defense is extremely solid. And I think Mike McCarthy is a huge upgrade over Jason Garrett. So I've got them 13-3 and winning the division.
Damn, that's a lot of confidence win.
It's a lot of faith. I like it.
You're never short on confidence.
Now, Sully, you mentioned you had Philadelphia 10-6. Why don't you give us a little bit of a more in-depth on where you got there?
Essentially kind of the same thing. They've got the out of schedule's tough, because they do play the Ravens. I think they're going to lose a game there. They got to play the Seahawks or the 49ers away, so I think they're going to lose that game. I think the Giants are actually a decent ball club this year, so I think they split a lot of their games in the division this year. So I got them losing to the Giants away, the Packers away. So I think they're a 10-6 ball club, and unfortunately, it looks like most of their losses I have them in the NFC, so they may end up not getting that spot, because I don't know if they end up getting the wild card, to be honest with you.
I don't have a wild card team in the NFC East. My second place team may shock you guys. It's actually going to be the New York Giants. I have the Giants finishing 9-7. I do think they lose a bit more games inside the division, but I do like what they've done on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. I have a bit of faith there in Danny Dimes. Saquon Barkley is a freak of nature, and I think that defense is certainly getting better. So I have them finishing second in the division. Again, 9-7.
Where'd you have the Eagles finishing?
I had the Philadelphia Eagles finishing 6-10.
Wow. How?
Yeah, not a lot of faith in this Philadelphia Eagles team at all. I think since their Super Bowl run, they have progressively gotten worse. I don't have a lot of faith in Carson Wentz at all. I like Miles Sanders, but as a whole, this offense and defense doesn't impress me. They are third in the division for me.
Yeah, I have the Philadelphia Eagles actually at 7-9, so not that far off from you. You have them 6-10, I'm 7-9. I do have them splitting with every team in the NFC East, and I have them losing to the 49ers, the Saints, the Seahawks, the Ravens. They're just not going to have a great year, and I'm not a huge believer in that team. I'm not a huge believer in the head coach. The New York Giants, you brought them up, so I guess we'll go with them next. The New York Giants I have at 4-12. Daniel Jones' decent season last year was an aberration. He's an absolute bum, and I expect them to go 4-12 this year, despite Saquon Barkley having a great year.
Yeah, see, I disagree. I like the Giants a bit. I don't love them. I still think they're going to lose a bunch of games. I got them going 6-10, but I'm a big fan of Daniel Dimes. Not a big fan. I actually I like his gunslinger vibe and just like his vibe in general. I think he's going to do big things eventually. So I think 6-10 solid. I think they sweep Washington, but other than that, they split Philadelphia and the Cowboys, but they're still going to lose games to the Ravens, the Cardinals, the Bucks, the Eagles. I mean the 49ers, my apologies, the Steelers, things like that. So I just think they still got a ton of losses on their schedule. And then speaking of Washington, that's my dumpster fire. I got them going 2-14. I don't think they win many games at all. I'm not a Dwayne Haskins fan at all. So I know that defense is very good and they're going to get after the passer, but I just don't see a lot of wins for that team.
Yeah, the Washington Avengers aren't very good at all. I've got them going 4-12. So, not much, better than what you've got there, Sully, but, I think they're going to, need to find their quarterback in this next draft for sure.
I've got the Washington Red Wolves at 6-10. I think that, I do like Dwayne Haskins. I do think he slings the football as good as anybody. You mentioned the gunslinger mentality. I think when you look at gunslingers in the past, guys like Brett Favre, they have cannons for arms. I don't think Daniel Jones has a cannon for an arm, but I think Dwayne Haskins does. And I think that 6-10 is not very good, but it's all right. And I don't think that they're going to take a quarterback in the next draft. I think they're sticking with him for the long run.
Who do they get their 6 wins from?
There's 6 wins. I have them beating the Browns, the Rams, the Giants, the Steelers, splitting with the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Dan, you got them beating the Browns at the Browns and the Steelers at the Steelers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was actually reading the Eagles. All right, forget this. All right, so you asked me who do I have them beating. So I have Washington beating... Oh, why do I have them beating the fucking Eagles? And the Cowboys. I don't have them beating the All right. You know what? Fuck it. I don't even know. I really don't fucking know.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't mean to put you. I'm just saying, looking at their schedule, they play like and all the teams that they play, I feel like they can beat, like the Lions, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Steelers, out of their division, the 49ers. Now they're not beating the 49ers, but all those teams, they play away, and that's why I don't love them this year. Don't get me wrong. If they played, like if they got the Browns at home, I think they win that game. If they got the Cardinals at home, they could possibly win that game. I just think on the road, I think that that's a tough spot to win a lot of these games. So I think that's the difference between my 2-14 and your, 5-12 or 6-10 or 5-11 and 6-10. I just have them losing those games because they are away. I guess that's really the main difference. I don't hate the team in general. It's just the schedule, the way it plays out. They play every team they got a chance to beat on the road, really, and that's just unfortunate.
Speaking of general, what do you think about the name? So I went with Red Wolves. Jesse went with Avengers. What's your money?
And I was the idiot who actually said there's still a bad, terrible name. I'm a huge fan of your idea. I think Disney is fucking slipping that they're not doing this. I don't know if it actually happens, but that's my favorite. I think the Avengers would be the best one. Realistically, though, I don't know. I think the Warriors, but I don't know if he can get the Red Wolves. So what I understand about the Red Wolves is they'd have to buy the trademark from the Arkansas State, because Arkansas State owns the trademark to the Red Wolves right now. And so they're trying to find a name that they won't have to buy the trademark from, is my understanding.
Well, Disney could be in play because we didn't really touch about it in the news, but all the sexual assault allegations or whatever it is, the drugs and parties, and Dan Snyder was apparently involved in all that. He could be forced to sell by the rest of the owners, and we could see Disney swing in there.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I sure hope so. Daniel Snyder needs to be out too. And then supposedly now there's rumors, which we didn't touch on because they may have just happened, but the Jets owner now supposedly said some racial things, and Jamal Adams has said he wants him out. So, who knows? Maybe we'll have some ownership changes coming up here.
Well, now, Dan, who's your MVP? I always say Dan. Fuck it. Sully, who's your MVP?
I still love you. My MVP of this division, oh man, this one was a tough one for me because in the same breath that I say I don't think he deserves $35 million, I think he's the MVP, and I'm going to go Dak Prescott. I actually think he comes out with and tries to ball out this year and really does and builds on the year he had last year. Again, I think it'd be silly for him to leave because he's kind of set up in the perfect situation with this offensive line and weapons and Zeke and defense and everything that he needs to succeed. So I don't think he should leave, but I do think Dak Prescott's the MVP.
I agree. I got Dak Prescott as my NFC East MVP. I think he's playing for that Brinks truck. I think he's got the most weapons of any NFL team, the best situation of any quarterback right now. and he's going to go ahead and need to ball out to get that money. So he's my division MVP.
And I'm going to complete the circle with Dak Prescott as the MVP of the division. I think that he goes 13-3 in my record. I think that he does throw the ball on the run as good as anybody, except for maybe Patrick Mahomes. He's a really good quarterback, and he doesn't have to run a whole lot because his goddamn offensive line is as good as, maybe even better than the Dallas offensive line from back in the 90s. It's just stacked. And then you got the Ezekiel Elliott back there. You got 3 stud receivers. You got that great defense. I think Dak Prescott earns a huge, huge payday this offseason.
Sully, who's your division LVP?
My LVP is going to be Dwayne Haskins. Unfortunately for him, it's going to be the old issue that he wasn't drafted by this regime. He's going to have to prove it. I don't know if he's going to be able to. And honestly, with the quarterback class that's coming in, I think Washington's kind of looking ahead. Even if they don't get one, if they can just get 1, 2, 3, Trey Lance too, coming out of North Dakota State's really impressive. I'm a huge Jamie Newman fan, the kid Trey who just transferred into Georgia. So I mean, the quarterback class this year is stacked. So I think Washington will find their guy there.
My division LVP is another quarterback in the league, and you guys kind of gasped when I gave the record for this team, but Carson Wentz, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. He doesn't impress me at all. When you get beat out by Big Dick Nick, for the Super Bowl win, this guy can't stay healthy. I'm not impressed with him when he is healthy. So, that's my division LVP.
Is he going to get beat out by the Crimson Tide or former Crimson Tide quarterback Jalen Hurts?
Roll Tide, baby. He was successful there in Oklahoma, and I think, they made a big deal about him getting drafted in the early rounds. So, yeah, I think he could certainly see some playing time this year.
Well, my LVP is Noodle Arm 2.0, because we all know Tom Brady is Noodle Arm 1.0, and that is Daniel Jones. I just don't think that he has a big arm. I think that he takes a huge step back this year. I do have the Giants at 4-12, worse than the Redskins, and I think they get to see Daniel Jones' true colors. They should not have taken him at 5th overall.
I hope you censor out that word, you motherfucker.
What did I say?
You said the R words.
What? Oh, did I? Oh, no.
So I got to get back on this. So what don't you like about Carson Wentz? Because the year they won the Super Bowl, it wasn't his fault that he didn't play. He got hurt. If you remember correctly, he was probably the MVP when he got hurt. He led the league in QBR. He had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And like I said, only through 14 games. And then last year he had 4,000 yards with 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I don't really like what don't you like about him?
I've just not seen anything that's been impressive, to be honest. I don't love his options that he throws to, and I think, like we've talked about with other athletes in other sports, your best ability is availability, and it's not just one injury he's had. He's had several concerns with his body so far early in his career, and it's still time for him to prove himself in that division. I don't have them winning the division nor making the playoffs, so yeah, again, that's why I think he's well deserving of the LVP. Like Jared Goff, I think he's gotten worse and less shine since their Super Bowl appearance. Even though he wasn't in the Super Bowl, he's just lost a lot of shine to me.
It is time for everybody's favorite segment, including ours, the Infinity 5. We got a great one this week. It is our 5 favorite sports moments of all time. Now, it may not be the best sports moments of all time. You guys may disagree. Please let us know if you disagree, because you're not saying shit right now. So, what, Dan, I'll let you say.
This guy has 3 fucking drinks, and the real shit starts to come out, folks. Yeah, I'll start. Sure, why not? My number 5 actually just happened. 2019, the Tiger comes back and wins the Masters. We talked about Tiger earlier and how captivating he is and just how much he brings you in and makes you watch it. And I mean, if you didn't love him coming back and winning that and just the way he did back in the red shirt on the final, on this Sunday, I mean, it was just incredible. It was such a great moment.
All right, so my number 5 is actually Julian Edelman when he had that bobble catch versus the Atlanta Falcons. That kept the momentum going for the Patriots to come back and win that Super Bowl when they were down 28-3. So that bobble catch was just amazing. That moment just had me jumping out of the couch.
Yeah, I watched that replay like 3 or 4 times just to make sure that ball didn't hit the ground, and it didn't. I mean, good for him. He got his hand under it, and he held it close. But that was nuts because I really thought it hit the ground when I saw it in real time.
Oh yeah, you never know what's a catch or not these days. So for that to stand and for him to, keep it up in the air and then actually secure it was just amazing. And it certainly went a long way in them winning that Super Bowl.
Now my number 5 takes place May 26th, 2002. It's the Lakers versus the Kings. I believe it's the Western Conference playoffs. I'm not sure what game it was or what round it was, but I remember that the ball gets tipped around, it hits the rim, Shaquille O'Neal slaps the ball out to the top of the key, and Robert Horry knocks down the 3 at the buzzer to give the Lakers the win. And I remember thinking, like, why would you leave Robert Horry open? Of all the players in the Lakers, I would rather leave Kobe open than Robert Horry.
Yeah, that guy's collecting rings.
My number 4 is the Brandy Chastain, when she takes her shirt off and slides in after she scores the World Cup goal in PK and wins the game. I'll never forget that, and it was just such a lasting moment for me. So.
Oh, definitely. That's probably the one U.S. women's moment that will stick with so many people that don't even relate to the sport much anymore. That was a huge moment. For me, my number 4 is not even an in-game moment at all. It's when I found out that the New England Patriots made a trade with the Oakland Raiders to get Randy Moss. They traded a 4th rounder and swapped 7th rounders. And, that obviously didn't get Moss a ring with the Patriots, but he broke a record and had 23 touchdowns that year. That still stands for receiving touchdowns. So when I found out that trade happened, I went berserk.
That's a very big deal. And I'll be honest with you, I did not love it when it happened because he was such a dog with the Raiders. I thought he was done. I thought his career was over. So the fact that he turned it around and went out and had that 23 touchdown season, I mean, that's just incredible. But I'd say the initial news, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's Randy Moss. He didn't do shit last year. The Brandy Chastain moment, I think, is a great one because I think that made sports bras an automatic turn on for guys across the nation, and myself included.
Here you go, Wayne.
My number 4 is actually a 1994 playoff game between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Emmitt Smith had a separated shoulder. He couldn't carry the ball in his right hand because the shoulder was separated, so he had to carry it all in his left hand. He couldn't pick himself up off the ground, but he ran for 168 yards, 229 total yards. The Cowboys end up winning 16-13 in overtime. And I'm sorry, all those people out there, listen, I love Barry Sanders. I do think that Barry Sanders is better than Emmitt Smith, so don't fucking wet your panties. But Emmitt Smith is a fucking warrior. And I'm sorry, anybody who shits on Emmitt Smith, I don't want to talk NFL with.
He was an absolute train in his prime. I don't respect that, he ended up playing like 32 seasons. But, during his prime, especially with the Cowboys, he was a freight train. He was a freak show.
Yeah, that game especially, man, you got to give the mad respect where it's due there. My next 2 are going to probably hit Jesse right in the heart here. But the first one is both of you here with this one, is the David Tyree catch. I mean, that was just so amazing. It was just so incredible. Even if you were on the opposite side of it like you two were, just the moment itself was so big. The 18-0 team. And then that catch, I mean, the Sterling Shepard one right after that too, that everybody forgets, but the one on the sideline too where he dropped it in right into the basket, that was a great one too. But, I mean, the David Tyree catch itself just stands out as such a huge moment.
Oh, there's the moment that Sully's a dick, guys, right there. What moment are we in the show? The moment that came right before that catch where Eli Manning seems to shake off 2 or 3 Patriot defenders, one of them being Dallas Thomas. Absolutely frustrating. And then he gets that ball off. And he helmet hugs it. It's so frustrating. You didn't need to bring that up tonight, man. My next one was actually brought up by you earlier. Tiger Woods coming back in 2019 to win the Masters. After all the rehabbing he had to do to his body and his image, he climbed the mountaintop of golf, and that is the Masters. And it was something that, that is the best major to anybody. So, he climbed the mountain again, and that's my number 3.
Anything Tiger Woods, I'm all in on. And I think that this one is kind of what led me to this whole idea for the Infinity 5 was that Tiger's playing this past week. But my number 3 is the 1997 Masters, his first win. He wins by like 20 strokes or something insane. He sets the scoring record for the Masters. He's bombing drives past guys like 40, 50 yards past previous Masters winners. This is what made me play golf. Before the 97 Masters, I looked at golf the way Happy Gilmore did. I don't have a fat ass and plaid pants. But watching Tiger Woods win the Masters in 97, I was in love I played golf from that point on as much as I possibly could, and Tiger Woods has been my role model in the game of golf. Since then, I don't care how many women he cheated with, Tiger Woods is the fucking man.
True statement. Jesse, if you thought that one hurt, this one's going to sting a little too. My number 2 is the kick 6. I mean, how could you not just be in such awe of this moment? Especially for me, I'm a Gator fan, so fuck Alabama. And so to see them lose, especially this way, was just so amazing. It's arguably the best ending to any college football game. I mean, there's the band game, but I mean, this one is just so incredible. It was so nuts, and I loved it.
So Wayne, we're a 2-person show now, buddy?
I think so, yeah, it's just 2 of us.
So I was actually at a movie when this game was going on, and I had it recorded. I was with my wife at the time, and her parents messaged her and said, "Hey, how's Jesse taking it?" And she goes, "What are you talking about? We're at the movies." And she goes, "Go home and go to bed." Her parents said, "Go home and go to bed. Don't stay up for the game. He's going to flip out." She actually stayed up and watched the entire game with me. She knew the end result, but she stayed up and watched the entire game and cheered it on. And then after that, she divorced me. No, I'm kidding, but it wasn't it was absolutely painful. So one of the most painful endings of a game in my life. I'm a huge Alabama football fan, so that is a scar that will never heal. My number 2 is NBA related, the only NBA moment I have on here, and it is the Detroit Pistons winning the NBA championship in 2004. They beat that star-studded Los Angeles Lakers team. I know some of them were maybe a little tiffing with each other, others past their prime, but there's not a team that was more collectively star-studded in this era than that Lakers team, and the Pistons didn't have a mega star. They had a bunch of stars, so really happy for that 2004 Detroit Pistons championship win.
Yeah, it never should have happened. Never. And I think that's why I like Larry Brown. When people say that Phil Jackson's not a great coach or Red Auerbach because they had superstar loaded teams, I say, well, who won a championship without a superstar? Larry Brown went to the finals with just Allen Iverson, and he went to 2 finals and won one with no star in the Pistons. So in a way, I guess you could say Larry Brown's one of the best coaches of all time, but that one hurt me a lot. As a Lakers fan, that one really hurt because they'd clean swept the rest of the playoffs up until that point. My number 2 goes back to football. Malcolm Butler getting the interception from the 2-yard line. Thank you, Pete Carroll, for not handing it to Marshawn Lynch. I thought that game was over with. He throws it. Malcolm Butler said, we ran this exact same play in practice like 18 times. The first time they completed a touchdown on me, and Bill Belichick made me run or something like that. He goes, I knocked down that ball every other time that we ran that exact same play. So when I saw them line up, I knew what play was coming, and I was picking it off. Thank you, Malcolm Butler. Thank you, Pete Carroll. My second favorite sports moment of all time is that Butler interception.
Yeah, all-time bonehead plays right there by Pete Carroll. My last moment is a great moment. I was there for it. The Tampa Bay Rays beating the Boston Red Sox in the ALCS Game 7. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. It's by far my greatest sports moment. Like I said, I was there. The electricity in the stadium was insane. We brought in a young David Price at the time to close the game out. And I mean, it was just absolutely bonkers to take down these Giants and go to the World Series. Now we ended up getting crushed in the World Series by the Phillies. But still, this moment is something I'll never forget. And shout out to my boy Matt Camp for making it happen, man.
Yeah, nothing beats a live experience, something like that that's playoff, that has the excitement of a playoff baseball game like that. That's insane. So props to you for being there for that. I've never been to an MLB playoff game. My number 1 moment you guys just heard a little bit about, and that's actually the Malcolm Butler interception. I was at my in-laws' house watching that game, and I was ready to pack it up and walk away, and then that play had me causing roof damage at their house because I jumped right through it. Again, I'm in agreement with you two. Can't believe Pete Carroll didn't run that ball with Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. But Malcolm Butler made himself a star with that.
My number 1, it goes back to the Patriots again, 28-3. And I know that Dan talks about asshole Patriots fans, and I'd mentioned them talking about 6 rings. Every asshole Patriots fan you will ever meet in your life is going to bring up 28-3 like it's, Jesus coming back from the dead. It is like they're go-to. For me, though, it means so much more. I was actually watching the game. We're upstairs in my bedroom. It was 28-3, and I'm sitting there. My wife says, "Are we going to go to sleep now? You can turn the TV off." I was like, fuck it. I'm staying up. I'm watching the whole fucking thing. I was like pissed. My face is red, and I'm like, I'm just going to watch the whole fucking thing. Just shut up. I'm just watching the whole fucking game. And then they came back and won, and I almost fucking came in my pants.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a huge moment. I agree. It's, like I said, this may lead into a top 5 chokes list. And I mean, the Falcons would be on that list for sure. That's just such an incredible choke there.
It's been a great time, as always. We appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate I'm fucking messing up my fucking words.
He's gonna love listening to this.
Excuse drunk Wayne, folks.
All right, let me give it another shot. We appreciate you guys listening on the RTF Sports Network. We appreciate if you downloaded and streamed the episodes. Definitely give us a shout on the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the Instagram pages. We definitely will get back to you. We appreciate the feedback. Even if it's negative, we love hearing we suck. Maybe not Jesse. He doesn't like it, but we love it. So give it to us. Let us know what you think.
Give it to me, baby. Uh-huh. Come on, guys. Get in there. Have some fun with it. Let's go. Let's get weird. Let's get weird.
Tell us your Infinity 5. What are your favorite 5 sports moments? What rings true whenever you think of your top 5 sports moments? Let us know on every platform. Remember to share. You got to share our show so you can get involved.
Yeah, share. Win $5. It's free money. I know it's only $5, but you win it a bunch of times. That turns into a lot of money, man. Holla, holla, holla.
I don't know, who are you, Daddy Warbucks? Like, hey, here's $5, man. You slap it out people's hands if they hand it to you. You're going to take it. Take it, share, hashtag Infinity Sports. And because I didn't mention it before, again, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, at Infinity Sports Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, at Sports Infinity 5 on Twitter. You can reach us at all those places. Private message us if you don't want people to see how much of a fan you are. We'll listen. We respect your privacy. We're not going to out you. So definitely get in. Let us know what you're thinking. We appreciate the time. And Kenny, what's up, my man?